What's up everybody, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be covering what went down on SmackDown leading up to Elimination Chamber. We're talking about what stood out and potentially what sparked some questions from bell to bell in the squared circle. So let's get into it. Now, if you watched Monday Night Raw, then you were absolutely tuned in to see what Drew McIntyre was going to say. But Drew couldn't even get a word out before Cody Rhodes attacks him, which, okay, he eliminated him in the Royal Rumble, so understandable. Then we would get a very spirited promo by Cody Rhodes, I would say, as Cody Rhodes refers to being inspired by CM Punk and Roman Reigns as they talk WrestleMania, which in my opinion was a way to connect the three, seeing as though they will probably be in feuds with each other down the line, and they are all the faces of the company. But later on in the night, Drew McIntyre would try to speak again to the WWE Universe and got attacked again. They can't keep getting away with this. And at this point, as a viewer and a person who is a big fan of Drew McIntyre, I thought to myself, he has to cut a hell of a promo for this to be justified, because you can't have him taking shot after shot after shot on a show that he isn't even on, and then on top of that have him get jumped out of the building? No. But if you know anything about Drew McIntyre, you know my guy is going to deliver as always. First, he addresses the remarks made by CM Punk and Roman Reigns, and he calls them insecure. Then he would refer to the title making the man comment by CM Punk, and Drew lets it be known this did not come easy. I had to work hard for this title. The blood, the sweat, the tears shed for this title. He also talks about how he carried the company during one of the most dangerous times, which was the pandemic. And personally, I think this was a great promo by Drew McIntyre. He addressed everything that was said and made some very valuable points. Good for Drew. The opening match for the tag titles between Kiana James and Julia versus Rio was a great way to start the action on SmackDown. And I mean, anytime you see Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, 9.5 times out of 10, it's going to be a banger. Julia straight up looked at Rhea and asked for the smoke with Io. And to be honest, when you're that direct, I gotta respect it. And Kiana James continues to impress me the more I see her. She completely killed her performance in the Royal Rumble for the time that she was given. But I gotta be honest with you guys, I really wish that she was written as a regular competitor instead of leaning so heavily into the manager role. I mean, even her ring attire doesn't really scream manager, if I'm being honest. And I say this because I think she is good enough to be an individual talent that competes consistently. Next would be the triple threat Elimination Chamber Qualifier match between Chelsea Green, Lash Legend, and Tiffany Stratton. To me, Chelsea Green and Lash Legend were definitely the standouts in this match. If I were to go purely based off of performance, I think that either of them would have been stronger choices to advance. Tiffany Stratton would end up winning this match and will be the first person to qualify for the Elimination Chamber match. And honestly, I was also rooting for Chelsea in light of the recent comments that were made about her on WWE Unreal, stating that Chelsea is entertaining, but she is only meant to build the likes of a Charlotte Flair or a Tiffany Stratton. But personally, in my opinion, Chelsea performed better than Tiffany Stratton in this match, and don't get me started on character work, but hey, what do I know? Yeah, I love Kid Wilson, I really do. But when I heard Oba's music, I pretty much already knew what time it was. One of the sweetest surprises was seeing Raquel Rodriguez come out with Liv as she addressed who her potential opponent would be going into Mania. And of course, you know you had to have some SmackDown presence out there, which would be Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace, who would interrupt this segment, and Jade lets it be known that if Liv does choose Jade, she will beat her at WrestleMania. And Liv just kind of laughs in her face about it and throws out the idea that she could go for Stephanie's title and then Raquel could face Jade for her title. And Jordynne would also let her presence be known, stating that if Jade were to defend her title against her, then Jordynne could be the one facing Liv at Mania potentially. Going into this match, I honestly thought Jade and Jordan were going to lose because, they weren't getting along. And of course, Liv and Raquel have had their little issues coming out of Royal Rumble, but they were the more experienced team together, so logically that made sense to me. And one of the highlights of the match for me is that we get a standoff between Raquel Rodriguez and Jade Cargill. And I have said this before on my TikTok that Raquel and Jade has been one of my fantasy bookings for a while now. And also one of my, I guess you could call it fantasy bookings, would be Raquel Rodriguez versus Jade. When it comes to the spotlight of the women's division, I think that we need more powerhouse representation. And I've been wanting for the longest to see Jade face more women that are in her same class. I know Raquel recently competed for the Women's World Championship, but I anticipate that Liv will be going for that soon. And I totally understand Raquel is a part of Judgment Day. Judgment Day is on Raw, Jade is on SmackDown, but it is something that I would like to see in the future. So that immediately caught my attention. And in the culmination of this match, we would learn what everybody and their mama has been begging and pleading for, and that is that Jade will be finally defending her title against Jordynne Grace next week on Friday Night SmackDown. First things first, I really want to take some time to talk about Jade Cargill. And what I'm about to say is by no means any disrespect toward Jade in any way. I actually like Jade Cargill a lot, and I see exactly why WWE is so high on her. She's beautiful, she's marketable, her look is undeniable, and the potential for her to be one of the biggest stars on the brand is absolutely there. Jade, Naomi, and Bianca were genuinely some of the main reasons why I got back into watching WWE. With that being said, I think we have to be honest about what we are seeing. But I do think that there is a lot to be desired with Jade's character and moveset in the ring. When I compare her to other people in the similar powerhouse class, like Lash Legend, Raquel Rodriguez, Bianca Belair, and Jordynne Grace, these women have more creative ways of showcasing their strength. Different setups, more transitions, more variety leading into their finishers. On top of that, we barely saw her defend her title, and when she does wrestle, it would be less than 7 to 10 minutes, if that. And this creates a problem, because if we're not going to see our champion wrestle consistently, then we at least want to hear from our champion. But even when it comes to promos, the character to me feels very surface level right now. And a lot of that comes down to how you present the character. And I'm that bitch absolutely worked when she first became champion, but we hardly hear her speak, and when we do, it's usually the same line. But to continue with the same phrase without adding any depth or any layers, it just doesn't help the character evolve. So then as a viewer, it raises some real questions for me. Is she only being given a limited amount of promo time? Is she being told to stick to that one catchphrase? Is WWE intentionally keeping her presentation minimal? Why did the WWE not allow her to defend her title for this long? And to be clear, this is not just on Jade. Jade can only perform in the matches that she is booked for, and she can only say what creative allows her to say. And we could also look at the depth of the SmackDown roster as an issue, but to me, the talent isn't the issue per se, but we wouldn't have this issue in the first place if creative did not only focus on a handful of people and booked other people to the point where they are believable opponents. But I do think WWE has played a role in setting her up in a tough position. They pushed her very quickly because of her star potential, but it comes off as if she wasn't fully prepared. If we look at examples like Jordynne Grace, a wrestler with over 10 years of experience, she still went through NXT. Same with Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, Joe Hendry, very established names who still went to NXT. Meanwhile, you have Jade, who I think started training in 2018 and had about 2 years of in-ring experience before she was signed to WWE. A massive leap to make, especially when you take into consideration the difference between WWE and AEW as companies. And if Jade would have went to NXT, she could have redefined her character, expanded her moveset without a lot of pressure. Instead, we're now in this situation where the fans are questioning her. And it's not because she isn't capable, but because of what we have been presented. Again, I'm saying this because I genuinely like Jade Cargill. I see the potential just like WWE, and I want better for her creatively. And now moving on to the main event of the night, which would be another triple threat Elimination Chamber qualification match between Solo Sikoa, Randy Orton, and Aleister Black. I really don't have much to say about this match besides it was a really good match, and I'm so happy Randy Orton won. I was kind of disappointed that he lost at the Royal Rumble only because I didn't really have my expectations high going into the Royal Rumble, but then when he made it to the Final Four, my hopes kind of rose up a little bit. And since he did not win the Royal Rumble, the Elimination Chamber just feels like our last hope to have Randy Orton at WrestleMania. But that's it, you guys. Overall, SmackDown was solid. I really enjoyed it. We had some strong moments, some intriguing setups, but that's what makes the road to WrestleMania interesting. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe for more WWE content. But also don't be afraid to leave a comment, you guys. Let me know what you felt about this episode of SmackDown and what things do you see transpiring from the things that went down. Thank you guys for joining me once again, and I will see you in the next video.